Well, I think you have to acknowledge that, from a South African white ball point of view, it's been, 4.5 months since we've actually spent a lot of time together as a team. So, you've got a lot of new faces around, a few debutants. So it's really about a clear understanding of what does it mean to play for the Proteas and getting a sense of getting them into the environment. There's obviously been a high focus on training, and guys have come off, a T20 comp, and a lot of the players have put in, really good performances. So it's really just trying to capitalize on that. And essentially, if I think about where we stand today and the amount of sessions that we've had, it's really about trying to identify and make sure that we're clear on our blueprint and what we're trying to achieve going into a series against West Indies, but really just trying to create connections as well. Something that we've been talking about is performance connections, and that is related around not necessarily just on field but also off field. How do we support one another? How do we create those connections and make sure that we create those bonds that hopefully are going to impact our collective performance? Yeah, I think the vibe is certainly good. I think of what we're coming into, which is obviously the West Indies tour. So we've spoken as a support staff to make sure that the focus is where it needs to be, which is the West Indies tour. Yes, there is things that important things that is to follow, but really it's about game one in Jamaica against the West Indies, and how do we rock up and making sure that we're clear on what we want to do, how we want to play, and put in a big performance. And that's clearly the intention and the language within the group. It's an exciting time for Ryan. I've had the great privilege of working with him at the Lions as well as the batting coach there, and you could already see that he was head and shoulders above the rest, and not surprised that he's got the call up. He's certainly shown his quality in the last couple of months, particularly in SA20, and obviously kicked that on in the CSA T20 as well. So, it's a selection that is really warranted. And, just chatting to him and how he's feeling about it, he's certainly excited and he's unsure actually what it's meant to feel like, coming into a World Cup. But he'll settle in really well. He's got the skill set that we need going into a World Cup, and I'm sure he's going to do great stuff. What a story that is. We were actually having a chat a few days ago, myself and Nqaba, and I mentioned to him about just over a year ago when we started our tenure as the support staff in East London. That's where I really saw him for the first time as a net bowler. And everybody was really surprised by what we saw and how it's fast-tracked now. And we had a conversation about it. I said to him that it's actually been an amazing time for you as a coach. You have no idea. And it's just amazing to see those beautiful stories coming through in our system. He's certainly got an X factor about him, and he showed his abilities not only by the fact that he outperformed in the CSA T20, but the fact that he actually got an opportunity at the Pal Royals as well. I think that shows his class. He's a young talent, and it's somebody that we really got to look after, nurture, and make sure we give him the best chance to really perform at this level. Yeah, it's an interesting one. When you think about Jamaica, it can vary in terms of conditions, but from a tactical point of view, spin is obviously a big player in terms of how it impacts the game, particularly in power play. So that's something, particularly as a batting group, that we're talking about and talking about options and how we're going to counter that. It is generally a field that, from a dimensions point of view, is short as straight. So how do we capitalize on that? So tactically, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a nice little battle for us with bat and ball. How do we throw the first punch? It's always something that we talk about. South Africans, we know that, we're a resilient country. But when you think about a short turnaround in a 3-match series within 4 days, you're going to have to make sure that you arrive and put in a good performance on game one. So this is a beautiful camp now that we're really just gearing up for that and making sure that it's not necessarily about preparation there. We've got to get onto that plane this weekend knowing that we are ready to play game one. Look, momentum creates confidence, and even though there's quite a few new guys coming in, I think importantly from a South African context, we want to take that sort of good performance into a World Cup. Particularly, there's not a lot of preparation when you think about leading into our first game as an actual World Cup group. So that kind of confidence is going to be important. And we're unsure, I guess, in some ways also about the conditions that we're going to face in New York. So making sure from a mental standpoint that we're pretty confident and we understand, our blueprint and what we want to do, and just go out and execute.